Remember me as you pass by. As you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so you shall be. Prepare for death and follow me. I ain't gonna lie, those words terrified me every time my mom read them to me and my cousins walking past the cemetery in Gene Autry, Oklahoma. That's the crossroads where my grandparents lived. She read them with a macabre glee, and we squealed in terror at the idea of some long-lost soul reaching out from beyond the grave, not only to point out how much we had in common, but also suggesting that we might be hanging out together soon. You know how it is. It's all fun and games until the lights are off and I was left alone with those words. But in my 30s, 40s, and 50s, those words evolved as I sat for the death of my mom, my cousin, and came face to face with my own mortality. My mom died of cancer when I was in my late 30s, and I resisted her death with everything I had. I pushed her to fight harder. I nudged her to ask questions. I begged her to need more from her doctor than just thinking he was a handsome man. I wanted her to do everything she could to live just one more day. I wanted every second with her. I wanted to memorize her face, to record her laughter, to listen to her stories. But we don't always get what we want, do we? And yet, the season of my mother's dying was punctuated by beautiful moments. Once, my cousin Teresa and some friends dropped in for a visit. Mom was asleep, so we sat in a circle in the living room. Our laughter woke her, and her voice drifted down to us. "Are y'all telling stories without me?" At her command, we carried our chairs to her room and spent the afternoon swapping memories with a few embellishments. But too often I stayed away from that room, filling my day with mundane tasks, running errands, walking her dog, paying bills, wanting that season to end and horrified because I knew exactly what that ending meant. And then it did, and she was gone. When I was 48, it was me sitting in that chair for chemotherapy. Then I understood. I realized how exhausting it was to be told what a great warrior I'd become. How sometimes I just wanted to be alone with my thoughts and my fears, to let the smile slide from my face. How easy it was to be unkind to the people I loved best in the world, and how gracious their gift of forgiveness was. I realized my mom had done the best she could, and I could have done better. I learned of a holy sisterhood in the waiting room for radiation treatment, of grandmothers, daughters, sisters, mothers, all walking one another home, how we cheered each other's smallest victories, how we looked each other in the eye, because we know that life is fleeting and being seen is important. How we connected, as we always do, through story. I think my mom would have laughed and cried in that room. In my mid-50s, I sat in a hospital room with my cousin Teresa as a nurse begged her to take another round of medication that would help her liver perform better, but gave a side effect of agonizing pain. They knew it would only delay death by a few days. My voice was quiet and firm. I heard her say no. The hospice professionals came around later that morning for the assumption of care. On the morning of the day Teresa died, I played her favorite music. And I sat beside her bedside, remembering aloud the times she tried to teach me to dance, and apologized for about the gazillionth time at what a lousy student I'd been. And later that afternoon, when a cousin arrived, we swapped stories with a few embellishments. The last words Teresa said were, "I'm leaving in a few. I'll see you soon." And we told her we loved her and to travel safely. And then she was gone. I know my mom would have loved the love that spilled over in that room. Death is no friend of mine, but it's also not an enemy. I think I might rephrase that tombstone from so long ago. Consider this when passing through. We're not so different, me and you. Connected by stories, big and small. Let's meet death together, one held by all.